Hi, I'm Ken Dryden, and some may know me as a former player with the Canadians. I've written a few books. I was a member of Parliament, and now some here know me as a professor of a course called Making the Future. And today, I'm on the line with David Stein.
Hi, I'm Matthew Darge. Before I played for the Montreal Canadiens, I played for the McGill Redmen. You're watching David Stein, the best sports reporter at McGill University.
Ken, about a year ago this time, you will remember that I came into your office and I was a writer for the McGill Tribune at the time, which was not on camera, not in front of millions of people like this. I'm just kidding, of course. So most people might not know at McGill that you're a professor here for a class called Canadian Studies 300 called Making the Future. And of course it's predicated on we're a bunch of 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds who are going to have a say in what the future is going to be like. And of course you brought in a lot of guest speakers who are experts in their fields and have given us a lot of things to think about in terms of how we as the future want our future to be like in Canada. Of course this year something different that you decided to do is do this course in conjunction with the University of Calgary. Right. So we have students at McGill and we have students at Calgary, and of course you are sometimes in Calgary and sometimes you're at McGill. My question to you is why McGill University, why the University of Calgary, and why now?
McGill because I was a student here. McGill because Montreal means something to me. And so it's a course that has to start somewhere. And I also always think of Montreal and Quebec as the most interesting parts of Canada. That's why here, in terms of Calgary, it was always an assumption that if the course could work in one place, it could work elsewhere. And I talked to a few different schools, and Calgary expressed an interest, and in particular, instead of me just giving the course in both places at different times, but to do it simultaneously and to do it from smart classroom to smart classroom. And because that's where I wanted to go with this course eventually anyway. And it's been an interesting experience, and I really enjoy doing it.
So something that you brought up, the smart classrooms, something that's very unique to this type of a course is the dependency on technology. And that's a big deal, of course. In most classes, most professors have their smart board and their projector hooked up to their laptop. But in our class, we need microphones, we need webcams, we need screens all over the place in order for students in Calgary and students in Montreal to be able to engage and communicate properly with yourself and of course with the students in the other location. My question is, has that been difficult for you to adjust to, and is this how you see the future going?
Yeah, it's been, they call them smart classrooms, but they're not that smart yet. And so, there are lots of limitations, and like anything, with limitations, you have to understand what can be overcome right away, what can't, and then you work with what you've got and don't just, butt your head against something that you're really not going to be able to change at the moment. So that's been the experience with this course, but at the same time, again, it's having conversations, with media companies like Cisco, that do this kind of thing corporately, and universities are looking to do more and more and to upgrade their technologies. So it's you do the best you can at any given moment, and then you work on trying to improve that over time.
I'd like to switch gears just a little bit. I can't have Ken Dryden on my show and not ask him anything hockey related. And one of my questions is involving the language issue in this city. Montreal, of course. Obviously, a couple years ago, there was a big issue with the head coach having to speak and answer questions in French. And it seems as though a certain sector of the media likes to perhaps make this a story when maybe necessarily it's not such a story. I'm just curious what your solution is to this.
But I mean, it's always a story in Montreal. It's a fact of life. I mean, that language enriches the city, and language at times is a challenge. And so how do you deal with it? And it was an issue in the 1970s when I was playing as well. What is sometimes not put into perspective is that the experience of journalists or the experience of a public in terms of language conflict may not be the same as it is with players, and so the filter through which a journalist may see something and understand something may not be how a player does. And but it's usually there's once a year, once every 2 years there'll be a flare up that way, and I think that will probably continue. I mean, language matters, and language matters a lot, and it matters a lot to a team that is as important to its community as the Canadians are.
Another question, hockey related. Okay, so I think most hockey fans understand and believe that Carey Price has the athleticism and the ability, and of course he's a top goalie in the league. He's got the numbers to back it up, and he's played extremely well. My question though is, does he have it in him, the mental fortitude to take what appears to be, I think most would agree, an average team, or definitely not a Stanley Cup contender, and take them further than they're supposed to go, and, excuse the pun, but carry them deep into the playoffs?
Well, he's very good, and there's no indication that he's not going to continue to be really good, and there's no indication that he doesn't have that personal strength and strength of character to deal with the challenges of this environment. And it isn't easy to be a goalie for the Montreal Canadiens. It's especially not easy when you are the real source of hope, and that when the team is good but not great, and everybody's hopes are for greatness. And so how do you make something great that is only good? I think that what Carey Price can do is what is what's in him to do. He's you only find out over time, and with the test of it is to how much he can carry a team beyond what it seems capable of. It's a lot to ask, and I would hope that the fans would understand that there are things that outstanding goalies can do, and there are some things that even outstanding goalies can't do.
I didn't want to ask you too much about the Olympics because, of course, you've done a lot of interviews, and you had your own piece. You have your own piece for the Globe, and you've been on the Strongbow. However, today the news broke that Martin St. Louis is going to be playing for Team Canada. Just a quick
So you're breaking it to me.
If you have a quick thought on that.
Oh no! I mean, I think that when the final selections were made, it was obviously a hard choice, and what you knew at that time was that the choice of the players that they made wasn't going to make the difference, of gold or something else. I mean, that their roster is strong enough to win gold. It's also a roster where it can be beaten, and so you can decide on one player or another, but they are not going to be the difference in the whole thing. Martin St. Louis, has been a really terrific player for Tampa Bay, and it was really interesting to watch him in those few games afterwards when after he wasn't selected, and how he kind of went on a tear. not very many would be able to do that. You would be so brokenhearted that it would be very difficult to go out and find what's in you to do as well as he did. And so, you know, good for him. And I imagine that whatever the best is in Martin St. Louis, we will see it in Sochi.
I tend to agree with you. I mean, that guy he never would have made it here without all that hard work and dedication and character that he's got. Final question I'm just going to ask is, where will you be watching the gold medal game on February 23rd?
Well, probably at home in Toronto. I don't know who all with, but what I would hope that game to be, I would hope it would be Canada-Russia. That's the magical match and for the final, and it would take Canada's best to get there, and it will take a best that the Russians haven't shown for some years, and so if they both get there, they'll both have earned getting there, and it will be some final game.
There's no doubt that would be a dream matchup, of course, and I think all Canadians would love to see that. And I hope you're right. That would be great entertainment for everyone here. And I mean, we got to go class, so we're going to wrap this up. And I just want to thank you so much for doing this. All right, thanks again.